The first time I noticed something was off, it was so small I almost ignored it. Lisa was sitting across from me at the kitchen table, scrolling her phone with that half-smile she used to give me. Only this time, she didn't look up. My name's Mark. I'm 34, and I've been married to Lisa for 5 years. We met at a neighborhood cookout back when I was still renting a cramped apartment in Columbus, Ohio. She laughed at my bad jokes. I liked how easy she was to talk to, and before I knew it, we were traveling, trying new restaurants, making plans like they were guarantees. The first couple years of marriage felt solid. We bought a 2-story suburban home, my name on the deed because I had the down payment, and we even talked about having kids. We had a rhythm. I took care of the yard. She handled the grocery list. She liked planning weekends. I liked letting her. But about 8 months ago, she started pulling away. It wasn't some dramatic fight or big blow-up. It was her phone always in her hand, screen tilted away, the quick lock before I could glance. Dinner conversations got shorter. She'd nod while I talked, but keep scrolling. When I tried to hug her on the couch, she'd shift, mumbling something about being tired. The excuses piled up. Headaches, bad sleep, just not in the mood. Publicly, she was still her usual self, smiling at barbecues, holding my arm, making jokes about us being the boring married couple. But at home, it was like she'd unplugged from me. And then there was Carly. I'd never been a fan. Single, always bouncing between jobs, living for drama. Every time Lisa hung out with her, she'd come back with some new complaint about marriage. Carly says couples lose themselves if they don't keep options open. Or, Carly thinks people rush into kids for the wrong reasons. Stuff she never used to say. I told myself not to overreact. People go through phases. But it kept building. One night, I came home early from work, and Lisa was in the kitchen with Carly, whispering and laughing like they'd just gotten away with something. They went quiet the second they saw me. Lisa brushed it off. Just girl talk, babe. But the air felt heavier after that. I started noticing she texted Carly more than she texted me. We'd be in bed, lights off, and I'd hear that little ping. She'd roll over, screen glowing, thumbs moving fast. When I asked what was so funny, she'd say, just Carly being Carly, and turn away. The distance wasn't just physical. It was like she'd stepped out of our life together and into some private world I wasn't invited to. I didn't know what was waiting on the other side of it, but I could feel it coming. One Saturday morning, she sat at the counter sipping coffee, phone face down for once. I thought maybe it was a sign she was ready to talk. But when I asked if she wanted to do something together that day, she just said, I've already got plans with Carly. Then she grabbed her keys and walked out without another word. She came home late that night, tossed her purse on the counter, and leaned against it like she was bracing herself. I think we should try couples therapy, she said, just like that. No build-up. It caught me off guard. Therapy. Yeah. I feel like we've gotten out of sync. It could help us reconnect. Part of me wanted to ask why she needed Carly's blessing to talk to me lately, but I bit it back. This sounded like progress. If you're serious, I'm in. Her eyes softened a little. Good. I already looked up someone, Dr. Turner. She's supposed to be great. A week later, we were sitting in a warm, beige office with bookshelves on one side and a box of tissues between us on the coffee table. Dr. Turner was in her 50s, calm voice, no-nonsense eyes. She started by asking how we met, what had drawn us to each other, and what we thought had changed. Lisa spoke first, talking about how fun and adventurous we used to be. But somewhere along the way, it feels like we stopped, choosing each other every day. I said I thought work stress and routine had dulled things, but nothing we couldn't fix. Dr. Turner had us do communication exercises, listening without interrupting, repeating back what we'd heard. At first, it felt forced, but there was something about actually sitting there and hearing her talk without my brain racing to respond that made me think maybe this could work. After the first couple of sessions, things at home improved a little. She'd touch my arm in the kitchen again. She'd ask about my day without glancing at her phone every 30 seconds. We even had a couple of nights where the physical part of our marriage came back, slow and tentative, but there. I didn't know that during this same time, Carly was still in her ear. I didn't know she was telling Lisa to use therapy as a safe place to finally be honest and stop protecting Mark's feelings over your own truth. All I saw was a little more laughter at dinner, her leaning into me on the couch again, and thinking maybe we were turning a corner. Dr. Turner kept repeating one phrase. Authenticity is the foundation. I took it to mean we should stop hiding little annoyances or pretending everything was fine. Lisa nodded every time she heard it, like she was memorizing the words. One session, Dr. Turner had us write down 3 things we wished were different in our relationship. I wrote, more time together, more trust, and more physical closeness. Lisa wrote, deeper communication, shared goals, and space to be completely myself. I asked her what that last one meant. She just smiled slightly and said, we'll get to it. The small progress we were making kept me from digging deeper. I wanted to believe she was as invested as I was. So when she asked if we could add another weekly session to speed things along, I agreed without hesitation. In our 3rd session that week, Dr. Turner leaned forward. We've covered your history. I think it's time we explore the relationships that shaped who you are, past and present. Lisa didn't hesitate. She looked straight at me and said, I think that's important. I nodded, figuring it would be stories about her parents, maybe an old friend. I had no idea the next session would pull the floor out from under me. When Dr. Turner wrapped up that day, she said, next week, I want you both prepared to share openly about past relationships, how they've influenced your expectations, and what still lingers emotionally. Lisa's eyes met mine, steady and unreadable. I'm ready for that. I left the office thinking she was finally going to open up about whatever had been putting this wall between us. I didn't realize she was already holding a wrecking ball behind her back. The following Tuesday, we sat down in those same chairs, the same box of tissues between us, and Dr. Turner smiled like she knew this was going to be a breakthrough. Lisa crossed her legs, took a breath, and said, I want to start. Lisa uncrossed her legs, sat forward, and locked eyes on me like she'd rehearsed this. In college, I dated someone named Ryan, she began. He was my first serious relationship. We were together for almost 4 years. He was my true love. The words hit me like a punch I didn't see coming. Dr. Turner nodded for her to continue, like this was just another harmless story. Lisa's voice softened, almost dreamy. He was exciting, passionate. We had this connection I've never felt with anyone else. Even after we broke up, I thought about him every day. I still do. I stared at her, waiting for the part where she explained why she was telling me this in therapy. She didn't. She just kept going. When I met you, Mark, you were steady, dependable. I knew you'd be a good husband, but I didn't feel that fire. I married you for stability, not passion. I felt my throat tighten. So what, you settled? She didn't flinch. I wouldn't call it settling. I made a practical choice. I thought it was the right thing to do. Dr. Turner glanced at me. Mark, how are you feeling hearing this? How do you think I'm feeling? I snapped. My wife just said she married me for stability, not because she actually wanted me. Lisa shifted in her chair. It's not that I didn't want you. I cut her off. You just what? Needed a backup plan? Dr. Turner raised a hand. Let's keep this productive. Lisa, what made you decide to share this now? Because I've been carrying it for years, Lisa said, her tone lighter, almost relieved. I wanted to be honest. I think if we put everything on the table, maybe we can build something real now. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You think telling me I was never your first choice is the foundation for something real? It's the truth, she said. Don't you want the truth? I stood up. Not like this. Not in some therapy ambush where you get to unburden yourself and leave me holding the wreckage. Dr. Turner's voice was calm but firm. Mark, walking away from this conversation won't resolve it. Neither will sitting here while she rewrites our marriage as some charity project. Lisa's eyes followed me as I grabbed my jacket. Mark, please. No. I walked out before I said something I couldn't take back. I didn't go home right away. I just drove, no destination, no music. Miles of highway passed while my head replayed every moment of our marriage under a new, uglier light. Every vacation, every dinner, every I love you suddenly felt like a performance she'd been giving until she didn't feel like it anymore. Hours later, when I finally pulled into the driveway, the house was dark except for the kitchen light. Lisa was sitting at the counter with a glass of water, waiting like she knew I'd show eventually. You left me there, she said. You blindsided me. I shot back. She exhaled, like I was missing the point. I feel liberated. I've been honest. Now we can start over, without pretending. I almost laughed. Start over? After you just told me the only reason you married me was because I was safe? That's not the only reason. But yes, I valued that. I still do. We have a life together. We can make it better now that I'm not hiding how I feel. I shook my head. You didn't just hide something, Lisa. You built our whole marriage on it. And you expect me to thank you for finally coming clean? She leaned forward, tone insistent. We can choose each other now, for real. That's what matters. I stared at her for a long second, wondering if she actually believed that, or if Carly had fed her that exact line. Either way, the damage was already done. I walked past her without another word, went upstairs, and closed the bedroom door behind me. The next morning, she followed me into the kitchen like nothing was wrong. We should talk about last night, she said, pouring coffee. There's nothing to talk about, I told her. I'm not rebuilding a marriage where I'm the safety net. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. Lots of people marry for practical reasons. That doesn't mean I don't care about you. Practical reasons, I repeated, letting the words sit there. That's your defense. It's reality, she said, leaning on the counter. You're stable, responsible. You make good decisions. I knew you'd be a good partner. You mean a good provider, I said. She didn't argue. She just sipped her coffee. I pulled out my phone and stepped into the living room. I needed someone who wouldn't sugarcoat this. When Nate picked up, I told him exactly what she'd said in therapy. He didn't even pause. She's an idiot. You don't marry someone because they're the safe bet. You marry someone because you'd rather be broke in a ditch with them than rich without them. I smirked despite myself. Yeah, that's about how I feel. So what's your move? He asked. I'm done, I said. I just haven't told her yet. Then stop waiting. Rip the Band-Aid off. I took his advice. That afternoon, I called a divorce lawyer I'd met years ago through a coworker. I laid out the situation, including the fact that the house was in my name. She didn't waste time, drafted the petition and the eviction notice in one go. We agreed the papers should be served while Lisa was at work. She'll get the message loud and clear, my lawyer said. 2 days later, it happened. I was sitting at my desk when my phone lit up with her number. The second I answered, she was screaming. You had me served at work? In the middle of a meeting? Seemed like the most efficient way, I said. Efficient? You humiliated me in front of my team. You humiliated me in front of our therapist. I shot back. We're even. This is insane, Mark. We can work through this if you just stop being stubborn. No, Lisa. You made your choice years ago, and it wasn't me. I'm just making mine now. That's when she saw the eviction notice. 30 days? You're throwing me out of my own house. It's my house, I said flatly. Your name's not on the deed. You have 30 days to figure it out. You can't be serious. I'm serious enough to have it in writing. She went quiet for a beat, then hissed. You're going to regret this. Doubt it, I said and hung up. For the rest of the day, my phone blew up with texts, anger, bargaining, then guilt trips. I didn't answer a single one. By the time I got home, her car was gone. I guess she was with Carly, getting more bad advice. I sat at the kitchen table, opened a beer, and felt something I hadn't in months, relief. The decision was made, the process in motion. She could call me cruel all she wanted, but at least I wasn't pretending anymore. When Nate came over later, I slid the eviction notice across the table. He grinned. You really don't mess around, do you? Not anymore, I said. He raised his bottle. To cutting dead weight. We clinked necks, and for the first time since this started, I felt like I was actually moving forward. Lisa came back the next night, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. You're cruel, she said before I could even put my beer down. You're throwing me out with nowhere to go. You've got 30 days, I reminded her. That's more notice than most landlords give. Her voice rose. I'm not a tenant, Mark. I'm your wife. Not for much longer, I said. She glared at me, shaking her head like I was some heartless stranger. I don't know how you can sleep at night. Easily, I told her. Try it sometime. 2 days later, Nate showed up with a duffel bag. Figure I'll stick around until she's gone, he said. Extra set of eyes. Make sure things stay civil. Lisa was in the kitchen when he walked in. Her expression went sour instantly. Oh great. Just what I need. You're a attack dog living here. I'm not here for you, Nate said. I'm here for my brother. She stormed upstairs, muttering something about toxic men. For the rest of the week, she stomped around the house like she was trying to crack the hardwood, spending hours on the phone with Carly. I caught bits of her venting, emotional abuse, controlling, kicking me out with nothing. By Saturday afternoon, Carly apparently decided she'd had enough secondhand drama. She marched right into my living room without knocking, phone in hand like it was a badge. You need to show Lisa some compassion, she started. She's been through hell, and you're just. I cut her off. Carly, this is between me and my wife. You don't get a vote. That's the problem, she shot back. You've never listened to her feelings. You only care about control. Nate was on the couch, watching this like it was a comedy special. Control? He's literally giving her the freedom she keeps whining about. He's just not letting her freeload while she figures out her next victim. Carly's head snapped toward him. Wow, misogyny much? He grinned. Call it whatever you want. I call it paying your own bills. You don't understand love, Carly said, pointing at him like she'd made her big point. No, I understand it fine, Nate replied. It's when you choose someone because you can't imagine life without them, not because their credit score is better than your ex's. Her face went red. You're disgusting. And you're enabling, he shot back. Congratulations, you helped her blow up her marriage for a guy she hasn't seen in a decade. Stellar friend work. I finally stepped in. All right, enough. Carly, you need to leave. She spun toward me. You're just proving my point, shutting down anyone who challenges you. Or maybe, I said, stepping closer. I'm done letting you stir the pot in my house. Nate leaned back with a smirk. Doors that way. Carly huffed, grabbed her bag, and stormed out, muttering about small-minded men. The door slammed so hard a picture frame rattled. Upstairs, I heard Lisa yell down. You're both horrible. Nate looked at me, deadpan. That's the nicest thing she's ever said to me. I cracked a smile for the first time in days. Don't get used to it. The sound of her pacing above us made it clear this wasn't going to get quieter before she was gone. For a couple days after Carly's exit, the house was tense but quiet. Then Lisa's behavior shifted again, back to the secretive crap from months ago. She was glued to her phone, thumbs flying, screen tilted away. If I walked into a room, she'd lock it without looking up. Nate noticed too. Thursday night, she came downstairs with a suitcase. I'm going to visit a college friend for the weekend, she said casually. I'll be back Sunday night. Which friend? I asked. You don't know her, she said, grabbing her purse. We just reconnected. Nate waited until the door shut before looking at me. College friend, huh? Let me guess. 5'10", brown hair. Answers to the name Ryan? I narrowed my eyes. You really think? I don't think. I know the smell of a cover story when I hear one. He grabbed his jacket. I'm gonna follow her. I'll be discreet. I didn't argue. An hour later, Nate texted me a picture. Lisa's car parked outside a downtown hotel. 15 minutes after that, he sent a video. Her walking up to the entrance with a tall guy in a leather jacket. Nate zoomed in enough for me to see them laughing, leaning close. Pretty sure that's lover boy, his message read. Then came the real evidence. He stayed parked across the street for hours. Around 11, he filmed them coming back down to the lobby together, holding hands, then heading right back toward the elevators. He added one final text. No doubt now. She's cheating with a married man, according to the Google deep dive I just did. I stared at the videos for a long time before I made my move. If Ryan was married, his wife deserved to know exactly what was happening. It didn't take much digging. His LinkedIn, then a matching Facebook profile, and there she was, Megan. I sent her a message. Hi Megan, you don't know me. My name is Mark. I believe your husband Ryan is having an affair with my wife, Lisa. I have video from tonight showing them entering a hotel together and not leaving for hours. If you want the files, I'll send them. She responded in less than 5 minutes. Send them. I forwarded everything Nate had captured, along with the date and time. Another message came. Thank you for telling me. I've suspected something was wrong, but now I know. I typed back. I'm sorry this is how you found out. She didn't reply after that, but the next morning, Nate texted me from work. Guess who just got served? Your wife's hotel buddy. Megan came in hot. By that evening, word came through social media. Megan had posted a short, icy status about ending her marriage and removing parasites from my life. People in the comments were already connecting the dots. When Nate got home, he tossed his keys on the counter. She filed for divorce within 24 hours. That's how you handle betrayal. I nodded. Faster than me. Yeah, but you're playing the long game, he said. She's still under your roof, stewing in her own mess. That's a special kind of justice. Upstairs, Lisa was probably still texting Ryan, oblivious to the fact that his wife now had every detail. I didn't feel bad about it. She'd made her choices. All I did was make sure the truth landed exactly where it belonged. It didn't take long for the blowback to hit. 2 nights after Nate caught her at the hotel, Lisa's phone lit up in the kitchen while she was upstairs. The name, Ryan, flashed on the screen, and a wall of texts came through in rapid bursts. By the time she came down, her face was pale. "He's done," she said flatly. I didn't bother pretending to be surprised. "Done with what?" "With me," she snapped. "He says his wife blindsided him with divorce papers, and it's all my fault. He said I should have been more careful." I almost laughed. "More careful? You mean better at hiding an affair with a married man?" Her voice cracked. "He said this isn't the right time for him to leave his marriage, and now everything's ruined." Translation, I said, "He was never leaving her for you. You blew up your life for nothing." She glared, eyes wet. "You don't get it. He and I get it just fine," I cut in. "You've managed to wreck 2 marriages in one shot. That's impressive in its own awful way." She turned away, covering her face with both hands. For the next week, the house was filled with her crying, on the couch, in the shower, in bed with the door closed. Every time I walked past, she made sure to mutter something about me, overreacting to therapy, like that's all this was. On her 3rd breakdown in as many days, I finally stopped in the doorway. "You want to know what I really think? You've been cheating on me for years, emotionally, at least. The hotel was just the first time you made it physical. You were already gone a long time ago." She lowered her hands, eyes red. "That's not true." "It is. You checked out the minute Carly started feeding you that garbage about keeping your options open. You just didn't have the guts to admit it until you found a way to make it my fault." She didn't answer, just went back to crying into her sleeve. The countdown on the eviction notice kept ticking. I stayed out of her way, and Nate made a point of being around whenever she started muttering loud enough for me to hear. On the last day, she loaded her car with boxes, slamming each one into the trunk like it had personally betrayed her. She didn't say goodbye, didn't even look back at the house. I watched from the porch as she drove off toward her new place, a small apartment on the other side of town. The divorce moved forward without a hitch. No drawn-out fights, no surprise demands. Just signatures, filings, and silence. For the first time in months, I felt the air in the house clear. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I opened my front door to find Lisa standing there, hair a mess, eyes wide like she'd been crying for hours. "We need to talk," she said, stepping inside before I could answer. "What could you possibly have to say that I'd want to hear?" I asked. She wrung her hands, pacing. "I'm pregnant." I just stared at her. "Not mine, obviously." "It's Ryan's," she admitted. "But he's refusing to be involved. He says it's not the right time and he can't handle it." "Shocker," I said. Her voice broke. "Mark, I can't do this alone. I don't have family who can help." "I thought maybe you could." I laughed once sharp. "You want me to help raise Ryan's kid? You do remember how we ended, right?" "This could be a fresh start," she said quickly. "You always wanted to be a dad. I know it's not how we pictured it, but..." I cut her off. "Stop. You only care about what we had now that your fantasy with Ryan fell apart. If he was here, you wouldn't be standing in my living room." "That's not true," she shouted. "It's absolutely true," I said. "You made it clear I was never your first choice. I'm not about to be your safety net for a second time." Her voice went icy. "So you're just going to let me struggle? Let this baby grow up without a father?" "It's not my kid," I said flatly. "And you had no problem destroying our marriage when it suited you. Don't act shocked that I'm not running to rescue you now." She shook her head in disbelief. "You're selfish. I'm standing here begging for help, and you're turning your back on me." "No," I said. "I'm setting boundaries. Something I should have done a long time ago." She tried again, softer this time. "Mark, please. We could make this work." I opened the front door. "We're done here. If you have anything else to say, go through the lawyers." Her face hardened. "Fine. I should have known better than to expect decency from you." She stormed out without looking back. I shut the door and locked it, my phone already in hand. The next message I sent was to my attorney. "From now on, all communication from Lisa comes through you." A year later, the only thing I heard about Lisa came through mutual acquaintances. She was barely keeping up as a single mom. Ryan sent the court-ordered support, but it wasn't much. Carly had stopped coming around. Apparently, the best friend didn't want to deal with the fallout she'd cheered on. Meanwhile, my life looked nothing like it had when she left. I was dating Emily, a middle school teacher with a quick laugh and zero interest in games. She made me feel chosen, something I didn't realize I'd been missing until I had it. One Friday night, we were at a new Italian place downtown. The room was warm, busy, clinking glasses and soft music. Emily was telling me a story about one of her students when a voice cut in from behind me. "Well, you moved on fast." I turned, and there was Lisa, hair a little unkempt, eyes glazed, wine glass in hand. "Hello, Lisa," I said evenly. She took a shaky sip. "A year. That's all it took for you to replace me." Emily looked uncomfortable, but I kept my focus on Lisa. "We've been over for a long time." Her tone sharpened. "You're punishing me for being authentic. I told you the truth about my feelings, and you threw me away." I felt Emily's hand on mine under the table. "You didn't just tell the truth," I said. "You told me I was never your first choice. And you were right. I deserve to be." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "And she is?" She jerked her head toward Emily. "Yes," I said simply. "She chose me." That seemed to hit her harder than anything else. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, but no words came. A waiter approached, concern on his face. "Is everything okay here?" I nodded. "It's fine. She was just leaving." Lisa's voice rose. "Don't you dare." Security was there in seconds, gently but firmly steering her toward the door. She protested half-heartedly, but she was too drunk to resist for long. When the door shut behind her, Emily squeezed my hand. "You okay?" I nodded. "Better than okay." Watching Lisa stagger out into the night, I realized the real shift had nothing to do with the divorce, or even Emily. It was knowing that next time, and every time after, I'd make sure I was someone's first choice, not their backup plan.